a special day today. We're at some of my own bloodline relatives' places. I believe second or third cousin.
Yeah.
Mr. Westside, Kendall Bremner. And this is his 83 Camaro build with an IROC body kit onto it. And I'm going to try to keep my mouth shut other than maybe dig him with a few questions. But he's going to tell you the history on this thing and everything he's got done to it so far.
Well, it started last year as a 6-liter turbo, and as soon as it got put together, we got it on the dyno and the transmission exploded, broke the drive shaft, drove the drive shaft through the floor, ruined the motor, transmission, the drive shaft, and the rear end.
Everything.
So I left there with my tail between my legs and a car that was pretty well history.
A little discouraged.
Yeah. Brought it home. Buddy of mine said he had another motor and transmission, a 4.8. $100 he'd sell it to me for. So I took the 4.8, put it in, gapped the rings, ran it with one of these GT45 turbos, fixed the floor back up, ran it for a month and a half, hard. Every time it was out, it was beat on hard. And that lasted the month and a half, and then I broke a piston. And then from there on, it was just a downhill slide. Every motor I put in went to hell. There's one over there on the floor that's...
Yeah, he did the junkyard thing. I think in what you went through like 5 or 6 motors, but most of those motors were already somewhat destroyed when you took them apart to check them.
Yeah,
water sitting in them over time and stuff.
One of them had a bent rod, so I had to use a rod out of another rod and put into it. And
yeah,
just a bunch of junk just to try to drive the thing. And then
it actually worked pretty good when it was together working, because you said you hooked that Corvette that was 565 at the tires.
583.
583, and you left him sitting in the road.
Yeah, and I only had 14 pounds of boost at that time because the boost controller wasn't working. So I bought an IROC and decided that I was going to get away from the turbo stuff and go 6-liter NA, make it nice and clean, nice paint job, and just drive it as that. So I bought the car, put the body kit on this one, painted it all up. Then a buddy of mine said that he was upgrading his motor and wanted to know if I wanted to buy his motor that was put together for boost. So I did. It's a 2010 Gen 4 5.3 all aluminum 58X with 706 heads. They're ported. It's got ARP head studs, rings are gapped, was all tore apart and properly assembled, all that stuff. I bought that. Then I bought another one of these Amazon special GT45 turbos that I know work so well.
Yeah.
And then I started piecing the rest of it together. I bought an intercooler from a guy up New Brunswick that's like a 1100 horsepower core. It's a good intercooler. Yeah. 4-inch core. That's the lifeline of these things. If you can keep them cool, they'll last, right?
Yeah, we did a video on Maddie's build there, the turbo Honda.
Yeah.
Overheating every time he hit 4th gear and boost.
Yeah.
He got me to help him do some troubleshooting the other day, and between his intercooler and his bumper, totally had the radiator completely blocked of all airflow.
Yeah,
we took the bumper off and run it A1.
Yeah. I ran into that last year, and I had the stock radiator in there, and it just was one of those thin ones. It couldn't keep up. Mm-hmm. So I made a diffuser to bring the air up into the radiator.
Yeah.
Hung down. It looked terrible, but it did the job. It kept it cool, right? And at that time, I took this headlight out. I have a thing that goes in the actual headlight.
Oh yeah.
You run it right to the turbo to give you some even cooler air.
Kind of like the Dodge Demon.
Yeah.
Only Kendall's version.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I will say, looking at this and not knowing much about it, I like how you kept a pretty good gap there between your intercooler and your radiator. You don't got everything jammed tight against.
Yeah.
The only other thing a guy suggested there with Maddie's build, Wyatt from the Valley there, Wyatt Bond with the 748 cubic inch Capri.
Oh yeah.
Death Trap. 1350 CFM carburetor on it.
Oh yeah.
And he was saying a lot of times with these faster cars and us younger guys, we tear them all apart, and a lot of times they'll airlock when you get going fast, the airflow will actually push up in your engine bay with your hood down, and it basically kind of vacuum locks and doesn't allow airflow, and it'll cause the same kind of issues. And he said that he's seen a lot of times that they just put an underbelly underneath the engine, and that cures that. But I don't think you'll have any heating issues because you got lots of room and looks like you get good airflow getting in there.
Bought a new radiator too this time, big 3-core aluminum rad, cowl induction hood to let some of that air out through. So before I was running just stock hood.
Yeah, I even cut a hole in my hood in the truck just because of heat issues, right?
Yeah.
The what are they called there? The two Finnegan and
Mike Finnegan.
Yeah.
Freiberger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're famous.
They always take their hoods off.
Exactly. So we grew up watching those guys, so you know you can only learn from the best.
Yeah.
Huge respect for those guys.
Yeah.
So you already said what the turbo was, but what was the turbo again, Kendall?
It's a Amazon GT45. It's the cheapest one you can buy on Amazon.
Beautiful.
It's $406.
So is that like the total death trap if it explodes? Like probably take the hood and the front end off the car with it, kind of fair?
I don't know. It's the exact same one I ran last year and had no troubles with it at all. And I ran like 20 pounds of boost and went through 6 motors.
Loved it.
Yeah. It started to get shaft play when the last motor blew up, and then I figured out that the last motor had lost oil pressure. So it was running without any oil pressure. So
and you are running a 4L80, right?
Yep, 4L80.
4L80 electric transmission.
Yep, with the HD2 shift kit.
Fuel system obviously has been massively upgraded.
Yeah, it's got a inline fuel pump that comes right off the bottom of the tank. It's I forget what it is. AEM 1000. Aeromotive boost reference fuel pressure regulator. 8AN fuel line to the rails and to the regulator.
And injectors.
The injectors are just 60-pound Deca Siemens injectors. They're nothing fancy, but they're big enough for what I did last year. So
yeah, like how many cc?
630.
630, yeah.
Yeah.
So she's pumping some fuel through her. And it looks like he's got the high rise, the good intake onto it.
Yeah, I used to have an LS6 car intake on it, and then when after the first few turbo motors blew up, I decided to sell that. And when I was going to NA, I was going to buy a Holley high ram and a bunch of stuff, and never got around to that. Ended up buying turbo gear instead.
And it's stock torque converter. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, stock torque converter. It's got a very wild contraption of a rear end. It's a 8.8 Ford Ranger rear end with the axle tubes cut off and 4th generation Camaro axle tubes inserted into the Ford Ranger rear end, welded up. That way I could keep the GM bolt pattern, GM brakes, and it came with all the brackets to mount it in the car because the axle tubes are out of a GM, right?
Uh-huh.
It's strange, but it works.
Yeah. So later on, anyone, if you get any questions, just message me and we'll get the information to you, because obviously we're not going to go through all the parts and pieces to this build, but
there's a lot.
Kendall's been playing with this stuff as long as I have, if not longer, and he's actually drag raced since he was like 16. Old enough to be behind the wheel, 16. So this guy can definitely handle what he's got built here. And you're thinking what for horsepower? Like the mild tune rate off the bat's even still going to be a big number, ain't it?
I would say that we'll be pushing somewhere around the 700 crank.
Yeah.
I'd like to see 600 wheel and then get a little bit above that. I may end up upgrading that turbo.
Mm-hmm.
If I have to, I will.
And for your engine management now, you bought the Holley computer.
Yeah, so I ran HP tuners before with no troubles. I had a friend that tuned, didn't really know how to tune, but he figured it out and it worked great.
Yeah.
This year I decided to try to go a little safer, and I spent the big money, bought the Holley Terminator ECU. Comes with the wiring harness. You just plug it right into your motor, wire it up to your powers. And
So literally like right to your injectors, the harness from Holley, yeah. So as you can see,
every bit that runs the motor and transmission is all with the package, goes right into the Holley ECU.
and where do you got that jammed at in the car?
Well, it's
I guess we should show them the rest of the car here first too.
It's kind of a mess because it's never got put back together from the body shop, but
Yeah.
the ECU is over on that side, just laying somewhere for now.
I'll show them the trunk here. You got the battery geared up in the trunk.
Yeah, that's
race
kind
car
of
style.
up,
Yeah, is what it is.
I actually
Projects on the go, not finished.
last Saturday I took it to my father's house and put it on his heist to get the old wiring harness out so I could get it up in the air, and then I put this one in and I just ran the wires back here to get it to start to be able to drive it on the trailer and bring it out here and finish things up.
The old fenders aren't even rotted out of it.
Oh no, this was original.
This is actually in pretty good shape, eh?
Yeah.
And as you can see, he's got all kinds of tire on it.
Yeah, 17 by 9.5. These are just the street tires.
Let's see if I can jam in the side here and get a shot of this computer for you. He's got the laptop hooked up.
This is here.
Smash that against the wall and scratch it. So we don't get real good light, but do you got a light, Kendall?
On my phone somewhere.
Terminator X Max, Holley, ECU. How much you say that was? Kind of like 3,000 Canadian?
No, it wasn't that bad actually.
No?
I'd have to look back in the papers because I bought a whole bunch of other stuff, but I left Blue Buzzard, so I was out $2,400 the other weekend.
2,400, but that gets you the harness and the computer, right?
Yeah, I think I'd have to look back because I bought the Holley Terminator. I bought relocation brackets for the lower control arms from BMR. BMR tubular lower control arms and panhard bar. And I also bought the spark plug wires all the same day. So I think the Holley was probably like 1,600.
Which, I mean, when you're playing with this stuff, that's really not out of the way, because if you do the tuning thing, you can burn up $700-800 something quick.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
For sure.
And at least, so the beauty with the Terminator, Kendall, is what? Obviously, it self-tunes. You don't actually have to do anything. You just plug it in and go.
You can do it that it'll just self-tune, and it'll just keep making changes until it gets to where it thinks it's the best. But you can also tune it the same as HP tuners.
Yeah,
right?
you can still go in and adjust everything.
Yeah. Like there's...
Just want to show you the big hood badge here, the LSX. We need one of them for my Chevy.
This is the dash mount here, right? So.
Oh yeah, so you got your own little live screen.
Yeah.
Listen to that fuel pump, holy.
This will tell you everything about what's going on, right? Like it gives you everything, and you can go, there's different dash views. Whoops, same one.
Which, I mean, just having that little screen is a pretty nice feature alone. You don't even really need the laptop hooked up to watch what's going on.
No, and like this will
load right to the laptop as it's going.
Yeah.
Is it Bluetooth?
No, you got a cable.
No, it's hardwire. Still though.
And you can only have either this plugged up or that plugged up. You can't do both at the same time. Well, you can, but you need a splitter wire. I just haven't got around to getting that yet.
Uh-huh.
But like, this thing will do all sorts of stuff for you. You basically just, I don't even know how to use it anymore. You can go in here and go to the wizard, and then you can like put in what the cubic inch size, what injectors, what map sensor, what you have for a cam, what you have for all that sort of stuff, and then it makes a base tune for what you put in. Like you tell it what you want for air fuel ratios.
Yeah.
So you need to have.
So you can give it some basic information, and you got to do that to get it started.
You need to have a little bit of experience in fuel injection engines and turbos to be able to do it safely.
Mm-hmm. So what do you have stuck in that for a bump stick camshaft?
It's 627 lift, I believe. Yeah.
And you did the springs?
627
Springs and the heads are all done because it was, yeah, obviously.
The cam and the valve springs were like what comp recommended you use for valve springs.
And he's got her heat wrap pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty clean.
There's a lot of heat comes out of these things.
I bet you. Yeah, especially when you're onto them.
Yeah.
Even Maddie's Honda, like I said, as soon as you get into a higher gear and get into boost, you're not making power if you ain't making heat.
Yeah. So this is the Terminator here. And there's all sorts of things you can do to enter your injector data. This is the map. And I don't even know how to do half this because I literally just started looking at it. You can put in different inputs to turn different things on. This also will do boost control. So you can do boost versus time.
Yeah, which
boost
this stuff
gear.
You can't do with HP tuners.
Yeah.
You're all just running off the map and guesswork basically, and setting your map pressures different, where this actually has boost settings right into it.
Yeah, so you can do boost per gear, boost per mile per hour, boost per speed. So you can increase the boost as you go faster.
If you're into drag race and everything, yeah, you can set everything up and dial it in.
You can even have a boost scramble increase. So you hook this up, right? And then you can say, okay, I want it to increase like, I don't know, 5.5 pounds. And you have this hooked to a button. So if you're racing somebody and they're starting to pull on you, hit the button and boom, you got 5.5 more pounds of boost.
Hit the scrambler, the secret weapon, almost like a nitrous button.
Oh, for sure. And it'll do trans brake, launch control, all that stuff, right? Like there's just
more. This is more for the racer.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, all of us racers, or even us non-racers, if you're a car person, you know, you want your car performing on the street or on the track both.
Yeah. You can change what it shifts at and all that stuff, which you can do with HP tuners also, but not as fancy.
Yeah, tables looks pretty similar though.
Yeah.
Just different colors, but that's a fuel table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
no, that's a timing table, ain't it?
This is Spark.
Spark, yeah.
Yeah, but there is one for fuel too, right? I don't know how to find it anymore. There it is.
Yeah.
And you can do it in.
I know it looks much prettier on the laptop, if nothing else.
Yeah.
No, but it looks understandable. I mean, it looks like a pretty good system just from what you're showing me.
So, yes, you can use that thing and get your bass tune started, right? That's not a problem.
Yeah, but when you get into things, you need the laptop, you need to scan live data and let...
Yeah, and what I did actually, I went in here and you go to open global file and then go base cals. Go GM.
Oh, yeah. So it already knows a lot of the bass tunes for this stuff.
Yeah, that didn't do what I wanted it to do. I'm what you would call very new at this. I actually just went and got the cable from a buddy the other day. All right, so these are all bass tunes. These two are ones that I've put in, but these ones here, and these ones here, and these ones here are all bass tunes that come factory set with the Holley.
Yeah, right in its software. So
yeah,
you don't pay nothing for this. This is all in here for reference or for you to use.
Yeah. So basically, what you do if you have a 58X car, you want to find or motor, you want to find one of these that starts with 58X.
Yeah, which is Gen 4.
Yeah.
Gen 3's 24X, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have a turbo, well, then you find one that says turbo.
Yeah.
Or you find one that says supercharged, if that's what you have, or
and
one
they're
that's
already even set for your transmission as long as you're running the electric transmission.
Yeah. So you basically, the best way to do this, from watching other YouTube videos, go in here and find whichever one matches the best.
Yeah.
Take it. Then you go into here and say the injector data wasn't the same as yours.
As that
you can just change the injector data.
Yeah.
Which is super simple. Yeah,
So
I say
it's
super
definitely
simple.
designed to play with for a normal person. You just got to spend some time with it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's pretty simple.
This like this a lot more than HP, or sorry, not HP, but EFI Live.
Yeah.
This is much better, I would say.
So then you take the tune from Holley that they have there, and say, okay, well, I don't have those injectors. Well, you just go in here and change the injectors.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, oh, well, mine's not that big of a motor. Well, you just go in here and change the displacement.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it will, it's self-tuning, so it'll learn as it goes. If it's not quite 100%, it will keep trying to make it better, right?
Might have to get him to hook this up to the old 496 later on.
Yeah.
So I guess that's pretty much it, other than I think he's going to give us a fire up maybe.
Yeah, we should probably open the garage door because it's a little gassy.
Yeah, probably a little loud too. Still snowing its balls off out here. Mine idles at 800 when it's warm.
Yeah. We'll still be dead though.
Yes, sir.
Gas you up pretty quick.
Yeah, she's a little rich in here, but man, that sounds pissed off, to say the very least. Shakes the air inside of this building. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed it.
You mean we're not doing a video of this?
What, the Mark II? Mark III with a 2-liter?
Yeah.
Painted up 8 valve? Jeez, I used to run one of them. If you look way, way back in the videos, there's a supercharged one of them there, I promise.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. We're going to enjoy it when the snow goes away and we can get this out.